Imagine a year where the sequel to the family classic The Wizard of Oz is dark and horrifying and will scar your kids forever with its twisted visuals and dark sense of humor.
But it wasn't that bad. What year is that, Sancho?
The year is 1985. Random jump scare for no reason.
Oh my god. Oh god. Changing the channel felt exactly like going through the portal. That was, oh god, that was unpleasant. I've got like a staticky feeling, like pins and needles in your fingers. Oh god. It's like a rat or something crawling around here. Where am I? Oh my god. It's like some sort of cell. I'm like in a jail cell. This is awful. Yes? Hello? What? Was that a chicken? Hello? Jesus Christ. Hello? Is anybody there? Can someone hear me? Can someone open up the cell? Let me in. Alright. Oh, I opened the door. There's a chicken.
It is me.
Oh.
I am Officer Cluck.
Officer. Oh, sorry. Let me salute you, sir. Yes. Hello, officer.
Buck, why are you locked up in our jail?
I was going to ask you the same thing. I just kind of popped out of different reality in here, and I was kind of trapped in here. I was hoping you could help me out.
Buck, I'm a chicken. I can't help you.
That is a fair statement. I should have really put that into accounting when I was like, how do I escape this jail cell? And then I asked a chicken to help me.
Yeah, Cluck's sake, man. Cluck's sake.
Cluck's sake. Yeah.
Cluck and heck.
You know what? What I really thought this podcast needed was a chicken sidekick. I really feel like that elevates any media that it's in. Yep. I couldn't agree more, chicken.
Are you asking me to join your adventures?
No. In fact, I was going to ask you something completely different.
Well, before you ask me that question, just 1 second, innit? Just one.
Yeah?
Just one brief clucking second.
Why are you British? Oh my Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Oh my god!
I laid an egg.
You also went Super Saiyan for a second there, it was wild.
Yeah, it's pretty clucking cool.
Yeah, well, at least we won't be attacked by any gnomes with that egg around, am I right?
Oh my god, what are you talking about the gnomes for?
Whoa! Oh my god, the wall! It's a gnome! Fuck, egg!
Me. Oh, you threw an egg at me! Don't you know that eggs are poison?
I'm so glad that was established earlier in the story so I would have the context for this moment. Like, several times you would say, man, did they have a chicken? I feel like this bit has gone too long. Hey, gnome, dying gnome or chicken. Have you seen Sandro around? He's usually around here, someone disguised as one of you guys.
Well, it would be a little weird if it was me, the British chicken, considering that I just laid an egg out of my bumhole.
Yep, no, then it would just be a turd.
Well, Zach, it was me the entire time!
That explains why the gnome is still alive.
Haha, you picked up my shit and you threw it at a wall.
Honestly, that's a lot of our opens, is just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks.
You just did it literally this time. That's what happened.
Hello, and welcome to Oldie But a Goodie, the only show where throwing shit to the wall is taken literally.
Oh my god, welcome to the podcast where, Zach, you are currently stuck. You're not even stuck in the year the movie came out in anymore.
No.
You're just kind of in a TV.
Well, yeah, because I'm in a coma imagining this all, so it makes sense. Which, funnily enough, is the same thing that happens in this movie.
That's right, and we're reviewing Return to Oz, because last year, Zach, if you have failed to remember, also it didn't really happen, because I was in a coma.
I don't even know what happened last year. I can't remember anything up to this point, really.
Well, last year we reviewed The Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz. I've seen that film.
Go back and listen to that episode.
It's a good film with great production.
It's pretty good. I liked how many people it killed.
I liked when they got the main actress hooked on drugs for life.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites.
But this week, Zach, we're reviewing a movie that did not ruin the lives of any of the actors.
Whoa!
It just ruined the bedtime of a bunch of children.
Whoa! Did it? Really?
Because we're talking about Return to Oz.
This is the most tame film that you've gone, this is the most terrifying. Was there a scary point? I mean, the gnome guy at the very end, I'd say, was pretty terrifying.
Yeah, I think it's just because, like, it's really uncanny. The whole movie's weird. It's not really scary. It's just, like, and that was the case at the time. This movie did not do very well at the cinemas at all, because everyone went and saw it when it came out, being like, oh my god, it's a Wizard of Oz sequel.
Yeah.
And,
makes sense.
Then, I guess, word spread around that this was too dark for kids, and then it didn't end up performing very well.
Wow. I did not get the vibe that this would be a scary film that scared kids, but I could see it. I could see it, especially at the very ending, but we'll get to it. No, there's a lot to talk about of this film, and I will start off with the fact that I didn't know it existed up until this point. But, like, in theory, I should have thought of its existence at some point, right? Because The Wizard of Oz was immensely popular.
It was huge, and it was based off one novel, and there's so many in that series.
Yeah. So I was like, why didn't I think, of course there's a sequel to this? It made a lot of money.
Yeah.
There's no way there wouldn't be one.
Exactly.
And then going into this, I was like, all right, is this going to be a sequel, or is it going to be one of those sequels? You know, it's like building off the money. Especially when they start off with the actress, and the actress is like 20 years younger than the previous acts.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
She's age appropriate considering how old she was meant to be in Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah.
But it is weird going from having a 20-year-old playing Dorothy.
Obviously, she's meant to be a child in the first one, but that kind of added to it. But then, they've got an actual child for this one. She wasn't too bad.
I thought she was pretty good. Not great.
The way she said Toto made me think that she was almost dubbed because it sounded like the previous lady.
Maybe.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird decisions, and I'll go ahead and say it. I think this film would have done better if it wasn't a sequel to Wizard of Oz.
Well, it's meant to be its own thing. It's not meant to be a direct sequel. The only thing, because they almost went out of their way to not make it a sequel, because like none of the designs of the characters are the same.
Oh yeah,
aside from Dorothy.
I would even argue that Dorothy is different because they, minus 10 years of her life.
Yeah. They even like in the books, the red ruby slippers aren't red ruby. I don't know what they are.
Oh, okay.
But they aren't ruby slippers in the books. That was made up for the MGM movie. And this movie was like, we'll pay MGM money to be able to use the red slippers. But that's kind of the only thing that they went out of their way.
Oh, that's really weird. Yeah. Because they're established in the first movie as red ruby slippers.
Yes.
But that's sort of a thing they made up.
That's
almost.
a thing that was made up for the movie, yeah.
Yeah. But now they're carrying that on to this one, and that's sort of the leading plot.
I think it's probably just for marketing. Like, that one's for marketing. Like, the fact that the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Lion look fucking nothing like they do in the other movie.
Yeah.
The Emerald City, it just looked like a normal city in this. It doesn't look like the Emerald City that we know.
No. Well, spoilers.
We're in spoiler free though.
It's different for good reasons.
That's true.
But I didn't mind the different designs of the other characters. I more was irked that they were in the film at all.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair criticism that I also had. I was like, why are they here?
Because if you could have your different designs, but then they had 5 minutes of screen time, except for maybe the Scarecrow, who, to be fair, had a different design. But I didn't care. Look, I would have certainly liked some of the previous actors to have been involved.
They were all dead from asbestos poisoning and drug overdose.
Yeah, but there's a problem with that. So I know why they've gotten none of the actors back.
Yeah,
because they killed half of them and poisoned the other half. So
For sure.
I could see why they would lean into that direction, but yeah, if you're gonna have them there, at least have them do something. I mean, yeah. We'll talk about it more in spoilers.
We'll get more in spoilers. But no, like, I agree, like, this movie goes so far out of its way to just introduce a whole new cast of characters. Like, it's Dorothy returning to Oz, but everything is different, and she's got, like, a bunch of new friends to hang out with. And then the fact that they keep going back to the ones from the original movie are like, well, I don't know. Yeah, like, I'm not 100% on that.
I just wish they had done something with them instead of just mentioning them like, oh, here they are.
Yeah.
All right, see you later.
Well, I've never read the books, so I don't know how true this is.
I didn't either. But I was going to say, this reminded me a lot of, like, the Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland.
That's very interesting that you said that, considering what I wrote down for my remake idea.
Shoot.
It is quite Tim Burton-y, yeah.
Yeah, have you seen that film? Because in it, it's all about her going back to Wonderland, right?
Oh, you mean, like, plot-wise? Right.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Well, it's also very similar in the fact that it's like an almost more twisted version of the previous films as well. It's like, going back, it's like, I don't remember it being like this.
Which is really weird that they go back in the first place, especially considering, like, when we rewatched The Wizard of Oz last year, it was so obvious, and we talked about this a lot, it was so obvious that The Wizard of Oz, it exists in Dorothy's head. It's not another world. It's her in the tornado, and we see people from the farm.
Well, that's one of the two. That's one of the two theory lines that it gives you. Like it hands you on a platter these two theories. One of which is that, like, specifically that this is all in her head. She's just imagining it all. She has a traumatic experience. She's a child. She makes up some shit to cope. She goes into a coma, and then they wake up, and it's like, it was all a dream, right? The other interpretation is it did all actually happen, and then she just got teleported back at the end, right?
Yeah, but the fact that, like, so many people look directly like people on the farm, like the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, they all look, but...
That's just a coincidence, Sandra. I thought you were the one who didn't believe in comas, right?
I don't believe in comas.
Therefore, your interpretation of that film has to be that she actually went to Wonderland, right?
No, Zach, I said this 2 weeks ago. I believe in comas in movies, like The Dead Zone, only if they give you superpowers.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. You think they're fictional and only exist in fiction.
Exactly.
Right, that makes sense. What if we are in fiction right now, though, right? Because we're in a television, right?
No, it's podcasts. Everything that we say is real. There is no irony or anything.
Okay, but what if I say comas are real in the podcast? Does that make comas real in this podcast?
It's too late to be thinking about this, Zach. What are you doing?
No. But what... maybe not in that case it would be real, but what if I got knocked out in the podcast and then went into a coma in my coma? Would then comas exist in this podcast or in the next coma thing? I just really want to explore this logic a little bit.
I don't know.
That's fair. That's a fair call. Anyway, the movie, right?
The movie. But, Return to Oz is really... But going back to what I was saying, Return to Oz is like... Again, it does the same thing. Where she, like, the movie... And we will get into spoilers probably later, but the movie happens, it starts, we're introduced to a bunch of things, and then she goes to Oz, and then those things that we were introduced to become elements in Oz.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, I like that... This one kept that. Because my problem with other The Wizard of Oz movies, like the one with James Franco, the Wicked musical, it's like, well, why would there be extra lore for Oz if it's all in her head? Why would we get a backstory about the great and powerful Oz if he's just a character in Dorothy's coma? Why does this movie exist? You know what I mean? And so I liked the fact that this movie was like, oh no, she's still just going into comas.
Yeah.
Which I quite liked.
Well, this film absolutely subscribes to one of the theories of this. Although, to be fair, you could almost say it's a 50-50. It's like, did it all happen?
I think this movie is also a 50-50. Yeah, like you can read into it and
Yeah. I was a little bit like, so they're just doing the first movie again, right?
You thought that?
Yeah,
How far into the movie did you go, oh no, they're not doing the first movie again?
Like 5 minutes?
Yeah, okay.
Like...
Because I want to, we haven't really talked about whether or not we like this or not. I love this. This was great.
Whoa!
I thought this was so fucking weird, and I don't know, it's such a swing to make a sequel to the classic musical Wizard of Oz and make it this is, who signed off on that? That is such a stupid and weird, business idea. I really enjoyed it. It reminded me a lot of, Jim Henson, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Vibes.
I had a moment when it's spoilers, damn it. But I literally had a moment of this is very Labyrinth.
It is very Labyrinth, yeah.
It also is like Labyrinth if it terrified kids, because I'm pretty sure Labyrinth did the same shit. So this is very Labyrinth-like.
You know what else I would compare this to?
What would you compare it to?
It's like the Never-Ending Story, but if it was good.
Boo! No, this is like the Never-Ending Story, and therefore is good, Sandro. You bitch. You film critic.
Yeah,
you film
fucking Never-Ending Story.
Bro.
Oh my god, you called me a film bro. Can't believe you've done that.
Well, when you bad-mouthed my favorite Never-Ending Story, that's when the big guns come out. I start calling you a film bro.
That's pretty fair, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a fun adventure. The acting's not amazing, but it's good enough, and the special effects are fucking incredible. And this movie's it's not scary, but it's definitely got a constant sense of something bad's gonna happen. Just throughout the whole movie, I'm just there's some suspense here that you don't get in kids movies anymore, and it's great. I really enjoyed it. What did you think?
I think the Gnome King was actually well acted. Whoever played him, the psychiatrist / Gnome King, he was quite good. I liked him a lot.
That is Nicole Williamson, who isn't in a whole lot. Oh, he was in The Exorcist 3, which is apparently really good, but I haven't seen it.
Anyway, I thought he was brilliant.
I loved him, yeah. He was good.
He was really good. He had great presence on screen. And you know what? It didn't entice me at first, but once we got into Oz itself, I was pretty on board with this film. I'm going to say it. I also liked this film quite a lot. And I think it's a bad sequel, but a good movie.
Oh, this is a terrible sequel. If you liked Wizard of Oz, this is there's a reason why only The Wizard of Oz is the Wizard of Oz movie that people remember, because this is not at all what people wanted as a sequel.
But this film feels like it came out in 2005, right? Or 2010, right? This does not feel like a 1985. There's a lot of cool effects in this.
It looks really solid the whole way through.
There's a bit of CGI, which is a little rough, but I've seen way worse. Mm-hmm. And then there's a lot of effects. I'm like, damn, that stop motion was awesome.
Yeah, for real.
And it's a lot of subtle things. Yeah.
Yeah, it cost about $28 million. Apparently, though, the behind the scenes of this were a mess. I think the director, his name is Walter Murch, and I looked him up at some point, and I was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Because he did such a good job directing this. Why have I never seen anything else that he's done? And apparently, this movie went so over budget and behind schedule that he was fired by Disney.
Oh, damn!
Maybe before they even finished it. And so he's never directed a movie since, but he did sound and editing for Godfather and Apocalypse Now and stuff. So he's done stuff. But I was just why have I never heard of this guy? Oh, Disney fired him.
Yep.
During the movie, essentially.
That checks out.
That's pretty classic Disney.
Yeah. I'm sure they've never done anything similar like that nowadays, though.
No, definitely not in a Star Wars movie.
Yikers.
Definitely not in Rogue One. That's the main one.
Yeah.
But no, I liked it. I liked all the new characters. I thought that they were really fun.
Yep. I was definitely not on board. I was a bit iffy. I was like, oh, should I like this? But it did win me over, especially near the end. I was like, this is great. I'm loving all of this. There was one thing I particularly hated about the first film.
Yeah.
That this film really did well in, like, changing this aspect. Sandro, can you tell me what's your, like, number one gripe with the previous movie?
With Wizard of Oz?
Like with the first movie.
I've got a few. I think, like, close ones are, like, Dorothy is kind of the worst, and, like, the Wicked Witch is not the bad guy.
Yep.
She's just trying to do her thing, man. You know what I mean?
I also agreed with the witch the whole time. She had some great points.
I think, though, like, the main problem with The Wizard of Oz is the fact that they poisoned and got hooked on drugs the entire fucking cast of the movie.
No, that's not important, Sandro. I don't care about that. No. You know what they should do, Sandro? They should make a movie / theatrical play where it stars specifically the Wicked Witch, and...
Talking about the Wicked movie that's coming out at the end of the year?
What? No, Sandro, you're actually just completely wrong, though. You were right about the witch being a good character.
Yeah.
And that's because she hated that stupid dog, which is my main gripe with the previous movies. I hated that fucking dog.
You don't like Toto?
Oh, Toto, fuck him. Stupid dog.
Why don't you like Toto?
What's this dumb, stupid, fucko dog doing in my film? Sandro, you know me. I hate all dogs everywhere. I just hate them.
This is not true. You always pick the dog side in Cats and Dogs, Zach.
Yeah.
You love dogs.
No, dogs are garbage. So I want this film. Get the dog, Toto. Yeet him out of the film. Fuck him.
Toto is not in this movie, and they replace him with a chicken.
A far superior.
You liked the chicken?
No.
You didn't like the chicken.
I'm done with this bit. Why did they swap Toto for a chicken?
I don't know. That was one thing where, like, as soon as she's in Oz and we've got this talking chicken, I went, oh, maybe I'm not going to enjoy this, actually.
No, the chicken was alright. I just thought it was really funny that they were like, fuck this, iconic dog.
Yeah.
That's like everybody loves and adores, and are like, instead here's have this random talking chicken. To be fair, I did actually like the chicken. I came to love our clucky friend.
I quite liked the chicken. The chicken is voiced by Denise Breyer, who also voiced one of the characters in Labyrinth as well. So I was like,
there you go. Yeah,
interesting.
This chicken's very sassy, and I'm down for sass. You know me. I'm a big sassy boy. So I was all right with this chicken. I just thought it was really odd that they just were like, nah, Toto's not in this one.
Yeah.
Except it has the same problem with the other characters from the first thing. It's like, here's the character from the first one. Anyway, we're putting that over here. Forget about that. We've got other things to do. I'm like, well... But I liked that character from the first one. Why even show it to me if you're not going to use it?
It's very similar to, like, the later Narnia books where it's like,
yeah,
this still exists in Narnia world. Here's this one Narnia thing. Anyway, it's now time to go on a ship and not do anything for a bunch of pages.
Yeah. Because I get that it's like trying to pay homage or whatever to the first film. It's like, hey, here's the things from the first film that you remember. But yeah, it really is like none of them do anything. So what was the point, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You could have literally taken out the characters from the first film that it referenced, and the film would be the same.
But anyway, that is we probably can't talk about too much else before we get into
it's time for some spoilers.
All right, then let's rate this thing. Do some taglines to get into spoilers. Zach, what are you rating this one?
Honestly, after watching this film, I cannot believe that I am giving it a goodie. But I think I'm giving this a goodie. I had a great time. I just want to unpack all the lore. Maybe it's because the books were good, right?
Maybe. I've never read them, and I don't know anyone who has.
Wasn't it Alice in Wonderland that was like mocking books or something? He was a mathematician that the guy who created Alice in Wonderland, he was a mathematician that hated fantasy.
Was he? That makes sense because Alice in Wonderland
like it reads like a joke.
Yeah, well,
So
it
makes
was.
sense.
It was literally mocking how ridiculous books were. And then it was like the Queen loved it. I was like, oh, this Alice in Wonderland, this is a banger. Hey, guy who made this book, make me another book. And he made another book, but it was all about statistics.
Yeah.
It was mathematical statistics. And she was like, what the fuck is this shit? That's your fun, fake, fun fact.
Yeah, that's
Right
great.
there.
That's great. That's great.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I haven't read any of them. Apparently, this one is based off the second and third Wizard of Oz novels.
Yeah.
So I don't really know, too much about that. Anyway, you're going to give it a goodie. I'm also going to give it a goodie. I think, this movie is a ton of fun. I think it's really good. I had a lot of fun with it.
It definitely has a lot of flaws.
Oh, yeah.
And it could have been better in a lot of places. But for what it's worth, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's pretty classic, like, what Rob was saying when he came on to review the Dark, like, whole, like, this era of Disney, pretty similar to Tron. It's like, these movies have so many problems in them.
Yeah.
But I liked this one more than Black Hole. I really enjoyed this. Like,
Oh, really? You enjoyed this more than Black Hole?
I did, yeah. I had more fun with this than Black Hole. Black Hole was it was fine, but this one I was like, I just love the puppets, man. I love movies with puppets. We don't get enough of them.
So, like, you would like something where there's a lot of puppets, a lot of fantasy?
Yeah.
Where you dive deep into the lore of some sort of fantasy world?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you meet lots of interesting, like, puppeteered characters and other things?
Yeah.
That's the never-ending story, motherfucker. You should like that.
Never-ending story. Never-ending
no.
story is a piece of shit. I hate it. It's a bad movie.
Oh, dear.
It's just an unpleasant film. I just don't like it.
Yeah, come back when you have an argument, Sandro.
I think you'll find our entire episode of that I'm rather based on our episode of Never-Ending Story. All right, 2 goodies for Return to Oz.
2 goodies. Definitely not the best. I'm trying to think. Did I like this more than Black Hole or less? I think they're pretty equal. I think I liked Black Hole more at first, for sure.
Okay.
I was more on board with Black Hole from the beginning, so it didn't need to win me over, whereas this film won me over.
Yeah.
As a sequel, this film sucked. As a film, I thought it was good. So that's my thing, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, I'd say they're probably around equal, but it's hard to tell.
All right, let's do some taglines. Tagline time. Thumb up or thumb down for the bloody taglines. First tagline is, an all-new adventure down the yellow brick road.
I'm going to give that a big fat thumbs down, not because it's a bad tagline. It's an okay tagline, but I'm hateful because it's false in almost every single way. Every word in that is just wrong.
It's not all new. It's based off a book from the turn of the 1900s.
It's not new because it's just the same story from the previous film, just done again.
Kinda.
And it's,
Kinda.
And spoilers, spoiler. There's no fucking yellow brick road. It's destroyed. That's literally a plot point in the film.
They make a point to say there isn't a yellow brick road.
They literally come across it and it's like, oh, look, a yellow brick. And she's like, no, this is from the yellow brick road, which is clearly being fucking destroyed. So all of this tagline is false advertisement. So I'm giving it a big thumbs down.
All right, big thumbs down. Second tagline is, it's an all-new live-action fantasy.
Ooh.
Filled with Disney adventure and magic.
You know what? I'm giving that a shaky thumbs up.
Really?
I mean, at least this one was true. It was a shitty tagline, but at least it was true.
I disagree. I don't think this is filled with Disney adventure and magic.
Yeah, it is.
Nah, like, you think Disney adventure, I think, like, the animated movies. I think National Treasure. I don't think this.
Yeah.
This isn't Disney adventure. This is a fucking Guillermo del Toro adventure. This is dark. This is not Disney.
Yeah, it's not really a Disney adventure. Oh no, Disney can be dark. You think of Pinocchio, right?
Oh, true, Pinocchio.
You go drink a beer with your pals and you get turned into a donkey. Like, you know, we saw that pretty recently. You know, there's some dark stuff.
This next review is it's not a review. I'm going into the Patreon segment.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing Raven reviews, but I'm in charge.
Whoa.
The next tagline is, if there's one thing you must do this summer, it's Return to Oz.
Return to Oz? I want to return to Oz. Yeah, thumbs up.
Well, Zach, it's dark and it's shit and it sucks now.
That sounds great. Now I'm doubly on board.
Oh no, you doubled down.
Yeah, I love dark themes in my fantasy worlds. I love taking whimsical situations and turning them super dark. That's great.
And the final tagline is, return to the land where adventure began.
Ooh.
Mm.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I like that one.
I'll give it a thumbs up.
Because I think, like, Wizard of Oz is, like, one of the first adventure,
Yeah.
fantasy sort of things.
They can actually make that claim. Like,
They can.
The Wizard of Oz was pretty iconically adventurous, right?
Yeah.
It is essentially a D&D party going on this bullshit quest. So, I'll give it that one.
Zach, I've got a quick little fun fact for you. It's not really a fun fact. You know, back in the day, I used to make you guess how much money the movies made in the box office.
That's
But instead
true.
of that, I'm going to make you guess how many chickens played the role of the chicken.
Oh!
How many chickens do you think played the role of the chicken?
My first thought, my go-to, and I should always trust my gut, 3. 3 chickens is my guess.
It's 40.
Holy shit! That's a lot
40
of
chickens
fucking,
played the chicken.
That's a lot of fucking chickens.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, why did they need so many fucking chickens?
Apparently, they had, like, a pen of chickens, and they're all good for, like, different things. Like, one was good at walking, one was good at pecking. I don't know.
Wow. So they really... You know, someone was like, I need some chicken dinners. How am I gonna... I've got an idea.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw the chicken in this, and, like, the first time I saw a scene where it was obviously a puppet,
Yeah.
I was like, did they just taxidermy a chicken and then stick someone's head? That's kind of what it looks like a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
But apparently they did have an actual, like, mechanical chicken puppet.
Wow. So they
yeah.
had that along with 40 chickens.
Along with 40 chickens, yeah.
I feel like they didn't utilize all of those chickens. They just had them on hand. I feel like this fact, it sounds great, but I'm gonna say it. They probably only used, like, I'm gonna say 7.
7?
Is my guess is how many of those chickens actually got used. Maybe more, maybe 12. You know, it could have been a lot. Maybe it's like for different sites, different scenes, they had different chickens, you know. If they're doing a lot of filming on site in different places, I could see it.
Yeehaw! I just had some spicy buffalo wings, and that means that I'm ready to record a promo. Sally McSella here, and oh boy, Sandro and Zach over on patreon.com/oldie-but-a-goodie, they've been talking about the Friday the 13th movies. And did you know that in the 9th film, it's revealed that Jason Voorhees is actually a body-hopping worm? They just reviewed that one. Here's a clip from that episode. But yeah, that scene where someone slices Randy's neck open,
Yes.
and then Jason the worm crawls out. Now, you were watching the ending of this movie at my house.
Yeah.
So I got to see your reaction to that scene, which was just you laughing for like 2 minutes straight.
It was...
How cute is that little Jason worm? So cute. Just running around like... It's so good. Which really highlights the fact that Jason is just a kid as well.
Yeah. Oh my god. This was me. It was just me like that for fucking 5 minutes straight. Oh my god.
Wowee! This episode sounds flippin' fantastic, and you can only get it at flippinpatreon.com/oldie-but-a-goodie-pod, as well as all of the other Friday the 13th reviews. They've done 9 of them. Plus, you can head up there and get ad-free episodes, which means you never get to hear me talking about my buffalo wings. They were really spicy. Really, really spicy. I'm looking forward personally to when they come out in a couple hours' time, because my name's Sally McSeller, and my digestive system is fast as fuck, boy. Wahoo! Alright, let's get into some spoilers for the movie. Spoilers. Zach, it opens. It's been 6 months since Dorothy was picked up in that tornado.
Dorothy's a fucking whack job. She's insane.
Yeah.
She's a fucking crazy person.
That's right. She's always talking about Oz, and her parents like, shut up.
Yep.
Stop talking about this magic. We've got to rebuild the whole farm because the tornado fucked our house up.
Now, I believe this movie does say exactly what year it is. It's like 1899. Because at the end of the year, it's going to be the 1900s.
Yes, that is a plot point, yeah.
Yes, one character says that. So we know this is 1899.
Mm-hmm.
And so it checks out that if your child is like, I went to a magical place with a fucking lion and a tin man and another thing, you're like, my child is insane. Time to get rid of it. Instead of, my child is a child and therefore has an imagination.
Yeah.
And is just imagining stuff, right?
I really enjoyed that aspect of it because, like, a big plot point is Dorothy is sent to, like, a psychiatric clinic to get electro-brain therapy, like, shock therapy.
Which is pretty wild.
Which is great. It's very... I think they do that in Exorcist 2. Like, the girl from the first Exorcist is taken to, like, a ward, and it's... Like, that's the whole movie. I found it interesting that they did that in this. I usually don't like that in movies. Like, there's a lot of TV shows. I think Legion did it at some point, where it's like, here's this superhero person, but they're crazy, so we're going to do a whole episode season where they're in a psychiatric ward. And I'm like, I'm kind of sick of that. I'm kind of bored of it. But I really liked it in this. I thought it was a cool little plot point. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I wasn't completely on board with this. Again, this reminded me of the Alice in Wonderland, like, because essentially it copies this movie. It really copies a lot of these beats, which is kind of wild to me, where it's like, we're following this character after the previous film where everyone just thinks they're kind of crazy. And then they go back to the place that they came from and it's completely different and kind of fucked up compared to where, like, when they first came in. And
you know what? This is very similar to the Alice in Wonderland movie.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's the plot is almost identical, which is wild to me.
That is so weird.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Well, maybe one of those people saw this movie. Who knows?
They should have done that with a Harry Potter. He gets put into a fucking psychiatric ward. He's talking about wizards and shit.
Well, he's just in the cupboard down under the stairs making it up, right?
But I want them to get, like, some doctors to come in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's Professor Dumbledore. That's Hagrid, right? Hagrid's the bodyguard that escorts him to the psychiatric ward, right? Where the professors come and teach them magic, which is just giving them drugs because they're crazy people, right?
They could do that with, like, Narnia as well. It's like, we got to get someone out here to test the water because all these kids are talking about talking lion. So there's the doctor, and he's like, I'm gonna oh, yeah. Hey, Doctor Who's back, Zach. You watching it?
No. Too woke for me.
It is pretty woke. This new Doctor, it's pretty woke.
No, I haven't seen it, although I was thinking about watching it because it was woke.
You want to watch it because it's woke. I saw some fucking YouTube video ages ago where there was a scene where, like, just after David Tennant has, like, regenerated from Jodie Whittaker back into David Tennant, he's like, oh my god, I'm back in this old body with the oh my god, I'm a man again. And everyone on the internet was like, Doctor Who hates men, what the fuck is going on? It's man hating. I was like, no.
Oh, dear. It's a sad time.
Oh, so stupid. People are dumb. Anyway.
But I need to go back and watch Doctor Who. I never finished Peter Capaldi's run, and I was enjoying his a lot. So if I was to go back, I'd watch all of his stuff first.
Well, I'm not sure if it's out yet, but Reese and I are definitely watching through old Doctor Who. We haven't finished the Eccleston season. We've finished watching it. We haven't had time to record, so
do you want to give a little spoiler, a little hint, a little tidbit?
It's pretty good.
Whoa.
The Eccleston season's the best season of Doctor Who.
Whoa!
It's the most consistent season. Every other season has so many shit episodes in it. It's just
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It does. Doctor Who, but I like Doctor Who's, like, up and down of quality. It's like
so up and down.
Yeah,
that is why I like it as well. Yeah,
it is very funny where it's like one episode's like the super intense, well written, like 3-parter series where they've gotten like 2 like super famous writers at the time to like write this epic. And then the next episode, oh, he's fighting animated snowmen. Oh,
I like that episode, though. I like that one. Yeah, no, like, it is like that. It's like, we've got the guy who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He wrote this great one. Oh, it's so good. And now, oh, the moon is a spider egg and it's hatching. It's like, what the fuck?
People's World War II 1 face mask are getting smushed into their face and they're becoming the people with masks, but it's all just nanomachines.
I love that episode.
Doing it
so
wrong.
Good.
And so we just told them they were doing it wrong. And then they were like, oops, and fixed it.
I love that episode. It's so good. So good.
It is a classic.
The doctor is like, I'm gonna shock you, Dorothy. And she's like, no, don't do it, please. And he's like, all right, I'll lock you in this room overnight. We'll do it later. And she's like, okay.
Nah, but he first introduces the machine, and it's great because he's like, oh, look at this machine. It's got a face on it. Hey, audience, can you see the face on it, audience? There's an eye here, and an eye here, and a nose and a mouth. He's like pretty friendly. I like how he's very friendly. Like,
he's friendly, and then the nurse is like not at all. I like that dynamic.
Not at all. Yeah.
Well, she's meant to be the Wicked Witch, and he's meant to be like the Oz of this movie, I guess.
Yeah.
Except not really at all, considering like who the characters end up being in Oz.
Yeah, well, like, sort of, yeah. Because it's funny because she's relating them to the people in the psychiatric hospital, right? So
Yeah.
Which is, like, if you look at it from that perspective going through the film, it's quite funny.
Yeah, well, they do that for everything, because, the machine that he's going to shock her with has a face, and then we get a kind of, like, mechanical robot-esque character called TikTok.
Yes.
In Oz, that's meant to kind of be the Oz version of that machine, I guess. They don't really look that similar at all, but, it's two kind of, like, robot-y things.
Yeah, that was my confusion, because they put a lot of emphasis on that, but then the machine doesn't really come back at all.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what that was going to be about, because they put a lot of emphasis on it. It's a weird, like, shotgun on the mantelpiece sort of thing, where it's like, look at this machine, look at its face, look at how thing, and then it just never comes back. I was thinking it was going to come back at the end, right? As sort of like a thing she has to defeat.
Well, actually, at the end when she's out of Oz, nothing really comes back.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, burnt down.
Yep. Yeah, no. It's really weird, and we'll get to that, and that's definitely one of the negatives I have. Although I do like, they've strapped her in, they're going to electrocute her to fix her, but then all the power goes out. And then all this crazy stuff starts happening. Now, Sandro, did the power go out? Or did they just turn on the machine and this is all in her imagination?
I think the power went out because she had to have run away for the movie to end.
Yes, correct.
Right?
Which ruins this theory at the start, is that they find her lost in the woods. But what if she imagines that bit? The real life bit is also imagined up until the point she gets to the house.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe. I think you could make that work if you, like, cut out a couple things.
No. I think that it works in canon. If you say she went to the psychiatric hospital because she comes back, what happens? She's fine again. So she went to a psychiatric place and they've used the machine. She's fixed up. She comes back and she's not, obsessing over it anymore. She's come to a logical conclusion to her Wizard of Oz story where she can just sort of contact this princess, spoiler for the end of it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a psychological coping mechanism with the fact that, she's had to disassociate herself from this place, because it's not as good as she remembers, sort of thing. So I'm saying, in my theory, in my boring world, she's just gone to the psychiatric hospital, they electrocuted her, and it fixed her, and then they sent her back home. Boom, done.
I like this theory. I like this theory. Although, it doesn't explain the random girl that gives her the pumpkin.
All imagined.
Well, because, it's so obvious that she's from Oz from the get-go. Because you're like, something's up with this character.
Oh, yeah.
What is she doing?
Well, I mean, that character can't exist in real life because she fucking teleports everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she has to be imagining it. Although it's ironic that she was starting to imagine this girl before she got electrocuted by the machine, but it's possible she was having this she was like thinking up the storyline beforehand, and the electrocution just sort of engaged it into fruition.
Yeah.
So, but it is a thing. Or she could have just actually gone to Oz and met these people, right?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
the
for
other
sure.
interpretation.
But yeah, she runs away during the power outage. She goes to the river.
Yeah.
She jumps into the river and then she goes.
Why?
I don't. That part was so contrived and silly.
It is very silly. And then the dean lady, she runs after her and
Yeah.
watches her get swept away. It's a wild scene. It's a very strange, like, also because in my canon here, she's all imagining this. Right now, in my theory, she's just been strapped to the table and, she's just imagining this all. Because there's also a hybrid between the, like, fantasy and reality here, right? That it's kind of wants you. This girl appears to free her from the table to undo her straps.
Yeah, which is Ozma, the daughter of Oz. We'll get to that later.
So stupid.
It was kind of dumb, but that's from the book, so whatever.
Where she just says, Ozma. Anyway, I was gonna say something about, like, could she have imagined all this and still escaped and hopped in a river, and that bit wasn't imagined, right? Mm-hmm. She still ran away from the place. She still hopped in the river. She still, like, woke up from being unconscious, right? Because you could have it. Her running away from the place is still part of real life, but then she, like, falls in the river and then gets knocked unconscious and then wakes up on the side of the riverbank and gets rescued by her parents.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of the end of the film, right? That could be part of it, but I'm saying part of that has to be imagined because it doesn't make sense, because the reason she got out is because she was freed by Ozma.
Yes, exactly.
There's a little wild theory hopping you have to do there. I just wanted to explore it for a moment. We should move on because I want to explore more things later on in the film.
More things, yeah. So she jumps into the river and she's teleported to Oz, and then she wakes up and there's a chicken, and the chicken says, "I've never been so wet in my whole life." And I was like, heh. But then I was also like, wait, is this chicken gonna replace Toto? Which brings up the question. This chicken was set up earlier as being on Dorothy's farm.
Yep.
So this chicken is an established character in Dorothy's life.
Yep.
The chicken has a name. It somehow ended up in Oz.
Yep.
Obviously, she's imagining it because the chicken wasn't in the river. It was nowhere near her. But Toto doesn't talk in The Wizard of Oz.
It is not, no.
So why does the chicken talk in Oz? Because she's imagining it differently, or the rules have changed, or Toto should have been able to talk then.
Potentially.
If we're saying if this is a sequel, what are the rules here?
I'm gonna say, here's my theory, Sandro, is because she took Toto with her from real life to Oz with her, right?
I mean, maybe. Toto was just in the tornado as well.
Yeah, exactly right. But the chicken was not with her when she went into Oz. The chicken was already there. So I'm saying this chicken, yes, this chicken wasn't the original chicken, obviously.
Yeah.
And therefore it appeared from Oz, therefore it could talk.
Although maybe it could be the original chicken because it does find the key.
Yeah,
in the farm, which comes back later. It's like a key that's got the word Oz on it.
Well, yes, she imagines it, or it could be the real chicken, but it got teleported, and because it got teleported by magic, that caused it to gain the magical sentience, right?
Maybe.
Those are my two theories on that. But yeah, it's because Toto was with her when she got teleported to Oz that Toto couldn't talk. Because that's the only difference between them, right?
And it's the only explanation as well. Like, there aren't any other explanations.
Yeah. Also, because they wanted a sassy hen in the film. That's the other theory.
And they gave you a sassy hen.
Oh,
what a
did they?
sassy hen. Bellina, the chicken.
One clucking sassy hen, that's for sure.
And I loved as well immediately, because they're in a desert and there's a bunch of, like, rocks, and the rocks have, like, cool, like, faces, and I was like, fuck yeah, this is such a cool effect.
Yeah.
The rock faces see them and then go to report to their king. And you're like, oh, who's this bad guy? He sounds like the bad guy.
Yeah.
And the rocks are like, Dorothy is back. And she's like, and he's like, oh my god, finally Dorothy's back. And then they're like, yes, my lord, she has a chicken with her. A chicken?
They really keep hammering home throughout this whole fucking film how bad it is that she has a chicken with her, right?
Yeah.
And they're like adamant, they're like, holy fucking shit, she has a chicken. And it's never explained until the very end, which is very funny. That they're just like, a fucking chicken?
I laughed so hard at the end. There are no chickens in Oz because eggs are poison to rock people.
Yep.
Apparently.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there, Sandro.
We'll get there.
But I love it. I'm a big fan, specifically of the gnomes. But yeah, this is when the film starts to win me over a bit. You know, it's starting to get back into the Oz because they wash up on the desert and they're in this like puddle of water, and she slowly realizes, oh, the river's gone. Oh, I'm in Oz now. Oh shit, I'm in the deadly desert.
Yes.
So she has to get out of the deadly desert, but she can't touch the sand, because if you touch the sand, you get turned to sand.
If you touch the sand, you get turned into sand. We see a scene later on where some people touch the sand and get turned into sand.
Which was awesome.
So cool.
It was great. I was like, holy shit. I was not expecting them to do it. That's sick as hell.
It's so cool. Again, this movie's fucking dark as shit.
Yeah.
So scary. What's going on? It's great. I love it.
Yeah, but yeah, she hops, skip, and jumps on stones to get to the land.
She gets to land. They come across the yellow brick road at that point, right?
They get some fruit from a pale tree.
Oh yeah, the lunch pail tree,
which is very Alice in Wonderland. It was very funny because she gets her pail taken away from her earlier. So she gets a new pail from a pale tree, and it has like a pre-made lunch in it with a ham sandwich. And I just want to think about the evolutionary benefit of growing pails from your leaves, right? And then putting pre-made lunches into... How did that co-evolve?
I don't
That must
know.
have had like a very specific human/humanoid interaction with some other species, like that specifically only ate pre-made lunches from pails. Because if a tree grows pails of lunches, it wants you to pick them so you eat it and then shit out the seeds later, right? But it has to be for people that would only eat things out of pails, right? Because that's the only reason why they kept... Or it's magic. You know, there is magic in this world. So there could be something where, like the Gnome King, for example, he was like, I want a tree that grows me... pale lunches.
And then he just kind of made it. I mean, that seems like he does seem to just kind of think things and things happen. So
Yeah, so I think that's probably the most likely case.
Yeah.
Is that he just made that because he does claim ownership of it later on. I just think it's really interesting that a tree could grow ham. My theory is that it would be wholemeal bread, because that's how you get the seeds to go everywhere, right? You give them wholemeal bread. That's just... I wanted to throw out that theory, you know, just say it's probably wholemeal bread.
I like this theory.
Maybe you could find trees with just white bread, but I would say it's wholemeal.
What happens then? There's the yellow brick road. They follow it to the Emerald City, and oh my god, everything's fucking destroyed.
Yeah, but it's all broken up, it's all shit on. Everything's dead. And by dead, I mean turned to stone.
All the people are turned to stone, and I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool. We see the woodsman, the tin man, we see the lion, they're just stone now.
You see their new designs, and you're like, oh, okay. I didn't care so much that they were newly designed, I just thought it was rather funny. I wish they had done more with them and their new designs.
Yeah, I think as well, like, they didn't want to tie it that much to the original movie.
Oh, yeah,
so kind of like having them there is a good marketing gimmick, but also...
Yeah, that's the problem. They needed to commit one way or another.
Yeah,
and they
I
middle
agree.
grounded it, and it kind of fucked them a little bit. Where it's like, they didn't want to tie themselves to the first movie, but they also wanted all these things from the first movie in it so they could advertise it.
Yeah, exactly.
So they needed to pick one or the other. They couldn't have both.
Oh my god, and then we see the Wheelers. All around Oz are the Wheelers. And
oh, beware the Wheelers!
these guys were fucking terrifying. Straight from the get-go.
Were they?
I thought so. Like, you hear them squeaking. It's just like a bunch of,
Oh,
like...
the squeakiness. Yeah, that's pretty intimidating.
The squeakiness, like, around corners, and the fact that we only see their masks for the first, like, 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, the masks jump scare. That, yeah, definitely at first they're scary. But as soon as they showed their human faces, I was like, well, these aren't scary anymore.
Oh, yeah. As soon as they showed their face, I went, okay, this is fine.
Yeah.
This is whatever.
They immediately lost all intimidation factors, and then they went on to be the most useless villains throughout the whole film, which was quite funny.
I mean, they're a bunch of, like, skater punks with wheels attached to their hands and legs. They're pretty useless.
Yeah, so imagine if you bumped into some, like, teen skaters. If they had hands, I'd be terrified. They don't have hands, they have wheels. I'm going to shove them over. What the fuck are they gonna do? I mean, they could probably, like, just assault me. But, like, I feel like I would have an advantage because I have hands, whereas they don't.
I wrote down a note here where I said, they just need some WD-40. Because they're squeaking all over the bloody shop, mate.
Yeah. They have the problem that your regular cat has, right? Where it's got, like, a bell around its neck. Yeah, you know where they are. Like, you need to fix that up, otherwise you're not sneaking up on anyone.
Exactly. We're introduced to TikTok.
Sandro, that's like the third time you've called him wrong this podcast.
What?
That's C-3PO, obviously.
No, it's Robin Williams in the movie Robots.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I thought he was C-3PO, especially when...
He is so C-3PO coded.
Yeah, especially when the last 5 minutes of the film in Oz is just the award ceremony from Star Wars.
It is.
Where everyone's standing around and they give her awards and stuff. Where they shine him up super shiny and he suddenly looks exactly like C-3PO. Except if C-3PO was short and overweight.
Well, Zach, the guy who voiced TikTok was a guy called Sean Barrett, who you've heard recently on the podcast, because he did the English voices for the 12 Tasks of Asterix. Where he played Asterix, Caius, Fully Automatics, Roman Ghost, and then a bunch of other characters.
I did like TikTok. I thought TikTok was fun.
I thought TikTok was pretty... I like it. They did do the joke a bit too much where one of his things winds down, because he's got 3 winds. He's got movement, thought, and speech.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do one of each, right?
I think they do one of each. But every time it happened, I was like, oh my god, we're doing this again.
That's his thing, right? That's his thing. It comes back at the end, though, Sandro, because he pretends to wind down, but actually doesn't, Sandro.
That's true.
He actually I like him as their, like, actual... The powerhouse of the group. Mm-hmm. The Superman, because he can beat all the wheelers in combat, right? He's relatively smart compared to a lot of the other characters. Like, he pretends to seize up to get Alice in there, right? And, like, that's a big brain plan. He's smart. He's thinking. So, like, when his think box wound up, but he has an obvious weakness. He is essentially like the Superman of this story, right?
Sure.
Because he's overpowered, but he has a glaring weakness that somehow seems to come up more often than it should.
Well, I don't think it's his weakness. I think it's just Dorothy's bad at winding him up.
Well, yeah, but if Dorothy wasn't there, he would need someone else to wind it up.
Well, like, my thing with him is, like, every time she winds him up, she only winds up 2 of them all the way and then 1 of them halfway.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like a consistent thing that keeps happening.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of funny. I just thought it was funny.
There's some blame to be had on Dorothy. She should square up. Come on, wind him up fully. Don't be slacking. But it is his weakness, right? Like, you know, if he didn't need to be winded up and could work all the time, he would be less good of a character. But I like him as a character because he has obvious strengths and obvious weaknesses.
Well, then, next, she learns that she needs to go to see Mombi to find out where the King Scarecrow is. And we got a Mombi castle, and she's this lady.
Very labyrinthy.
Incredibly fucking labyrinthy. Her outfit,
this whole scene,
so labyrinth.
Yeah.
I loved this scene, though, because Mombi is a witch? I don't know what she is.
I feel like she's a gnome loyalist that got powers from the king gnome
Oh,
when
I like
he took
that.
over, right?
Yeah.
Because it makes sense for a character because she is trying to help the gnome king for some reason, and she's like, bowing towards him and all that. So I'm pretty sure when the gnome king took over, which is established later on, that she was like, I'll help you out if you help me out. She sided with the bad guy. I could feel that,
Yeah, you know what? And like the person who plays Mombi is the same person who plays the doctor's nurse or whatever. So,
Yeah,
it is the same person. I loved the concept of Mombi though, where she's just got like 20, 30 something heads in like a dressing room. We walk into her dressing room, it's just like 20 heads and they're all awake. And they all have thoughts, and they're all, like, moving and, like, talking.
It's so funny to me that they walk in, and there's, like... She's, like, lazing there, playing an instrument or something.
Like a lute?
Lute or something, yeah. And then she's like, let me go get changed into something more appropriate. And I was like, what? Whoa, that's a bit weird thing to say to a child.
And she takes her fucking head off and puts another one on.
And then she puts on another head on, but that head's angry. And then suddenly she's evil.
I loved it. I loved as well how her, like, what she wants to do is she wants to take Dorothy, basically just, like, lock her in prison so that Dorothy gets old enough for her to take her head. And I was like, that's such a cool concept. That's so cool. I liked the comparison, though. We had some really good storytelling here where Mombi locks Dorothy in, like, a room that is very similar to the room that the nurse locked her in the psychiatric hospital. And in that room is Jack Pumpkinhead, just like how she left the Pumpkinhead that Ozma gave her in the room that she was locked up in the hospital. That Pumpkinhead was given to her. She played with it in the room she was locked up in, and then she gets locked up again by the nurse, by Mombi, and then we see the Pumpkinhead being alive. I thought that was really cool and clever. I really liked that.
So, Sandro, I did have a question.
Yeah, what's the question?
What is your thoughts on Scarecrow 2?
He is just Scarecrow 2, isn't he? He's like, Jack Pumpkinhead, he's an interesting one. I liked him for the most part. He's voiced by Brian Henson, which is like Jim Henson's son. And I like him in a lot of stuff. Like, I think he's a really cool puppeteer.
He had a good voice, yeah.
He's good at carrying on his father's legacy. I quite liked him, but Jack Pumpkinhead is a weird one. He keeps calling Dorothy Mom, which was weird the entire movie.
I don't know if you know this, but in the first film... Did you see the first film at all, Sandra?
I've seen it.
Okay, yeah. In the first film, there was certain goals. The reason everybody joins up together is for certain goals. And the reason they go on this adventure is because they need to get to the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Wonderful Wizard of Oz. But also, the lion needs a heart.
The lion needs a heart.
If I only had a brain, that's the Scarecrow.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, Jack's head's pretty fucking empty, I would fucking say.
No, it's not. He's got a fucking chicken in there for most of the movie.
Yeah. I'd say that's a pretty empty head if you have a chicken and a chicken could fit inside it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Because the reason Jack's alive is because there's this magic living dust, which you can pour on things to make them live, which also explains why this lady can have all these heads.
Oh, she just sprinkles the dust on them. Yeah.
Yeah, you sprinkle the dust on their heads so they live. Because I was like, how the fuck does she do that, right? Because that doesn't make any sense. And you can't have something in this film that doesn't make sense. No, but she's got this magic living dust. And so it's like, oh, she asked the Gnome King. This is what she did. She asked the Gnome King for some dust that makes things live, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And then she used it on, like, some rollerblades or something, made the wheelers. She used it on she went around after everyone... got turned into statues.
Yeah.
She chops off all the statues' heads that she wants.
She does. We see that.
We literally see that earlier in the film, and I didn't realize it till later on. I was like, wait, we saw headless statues.
Exactly. She took all the heads.
She stole their heads and then used the magic on them to make them real life so she could use them. That's wild to me. Also, do they think like them previous selves, or do they get taken over by her?
Well, we get a line here. Where Dorothy asks Jack Pumpkinhead why Mombi doesn't know, like, why she hasn't come up to deal with him, because she's just kind of left him locked up. And he says, she was wearing head number 22 at the time I was locked up and must not have worn it again since, because she hasn't remembered that I'm up here. And I'm like, oh my...
Whoa.
So every head has its own memories.
That's wild.
It's such a cool concept for a character. I love Mombi. Mombi's great.
I'm so sad that she, like, gets, like, sidelined for the rest of the film.
They kind of do everything that they can do with her, and then they just kind of push her to the side.
Yeah, but I feel like she could have had a more important role at the end.
For sure, yeah. I think if she was the main bad guy, they could have done a lot more, but because they went with the Gnome King instead.
But yeah, I like the idea that each head has its own memory. But, like, does that mean it's different people? Would it have different personalities? Or I think her personality, like, takes them over, right?
Yeah.
So she is still the same person, but they do all have separate memories, which is quite good. I like that a lot. Also, all of this movie has given me great ideas for Fae courts in sort of a D&D sense, right? The Fae creatures, how they work. Because the Fae... This whole film has a very Fae-like enchantment thing where there's lots of very set rules.
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah. I understand what you mean.
The world doesn't make much sense, but it has rules and it follows it. And I really like that in a fantasy setting.
I think that's why I don't like Neverending Story.
Yeah.
Because it's all over the place, whereas with this one, like, particularly with Oz, there are, like those set rules, and characters have their own quirks.
And the Gnome King's very Fae-like. Literally, they come in and he's like, I could just, click my fingers and turn you to the thing, but instead, I want to play a game. And I'm like, oh, that's so Fae, though.
It is. It's so Fae.
But he's tricking them because they agree to the rules of the game, and then boom, suddenly the game is like, oh, it actually has much higher stakes than previously established. Well, you never asked, I'm like, oh, it's so good. It's so good.
What happens? They make an escape plan where Dorothy has to grab something from one of the heads' things.
She has to grab the powder of life.
Oh yeah, of course, that's what she grabbed.
Yeah.
She has to grab the powder of life so that they can make it's called a gump, which is basically the Oz version of a cow or a deer or a moose or something. The word gump, it feels problematic, and I don't know why. It feels offensive. I'm not sure why the word gump makes me feel that way, but it does. But anyway, they put a gump's head on a couch.
A gump is a foolish person.
Oh, interesting.
A dunce, a fool, or a nimwit. So there you go.
But they put a gump's head on a couch. They give it, like, wings made out of a plant or some shit. And they basically are like, we're gonna sprinkle the magic thing on it and bring it to life, and then we're gonna fly to the Gnome King's place.
Yeah. So she steals the life powder, but... Mombi puts her head in the, like, locker with the life essence.
Oh my god, I loved this scene.
Yeah, so that she can, like, be alert if someone tries to steal it, which is very funny, because then you see her, like, body without her head, like, rise up, and she's like, ah!
Yeah, she starts to scream, and then all the other heads also join in, and I got fucking goosebumps. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, okay, actually... You know what, Sandra? I could actually see why this film gave me kids nightmares now. Actually, I'm starting to see it now. You said it earlier, and I was like, what are you talking about? But
not only that, but then her fucking, like, headless body just, like, starts running after Dorothy. It's horrifying.
Yeah, okay. I'm starting to see what you were talking about now. I
love this movie. It's so scary.
It's great.
But anyway, they make the couch, and they fly, and they fly into and it looks fucking great. Like, them flying looks incredible.
It's a good time, but then, yeah, they're being chased by the Wheelers, and the Gump's like, oh, I don't know about this flying stuff. I was literally just created.
I love the voice of the Gump. He's so like, oh, what the fuck? Well, I'm sick of this shit, man. I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah. I mean, he's just been brought back to life, so that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Jack's like, hey, there's the wheelers chasing us, can you go a bit faster? And he's like, not really, unless one of you wants to jump out. And then Jack's like, hey, TikTok, you're the heaviest. And I was like, whoa, Jack, did you just ask TikTok to jump?
They fat shame TikTok. It's true.
Yeah, look, I'm just saying, Jack does nothing in this film.
Yeah.
He does literally nothing. Name one thing that Jack does.
Well, like, he helps to build Gump. He's the only one with,
That's true.
He's the only, because TikTok, like, he can't really move very well. Bellina's a chicken.
Yeah.
So she can't do shit. And Jack's the only one with, like, hands, so he can kind of help out that way.
Yeah, but you know what happens, Sandro?
His head falls off.
His head falls off and the Gump collapses.
Yeah.
The Gump collapses because it's been made poorly because he fucking made it. The pumpkin head empty, bad person, bad at making couch monster flying thing.
He is bad at making couch monsters, because, yeah, the Gump just falls apart in the air, then Jack's head falls off, so they all land on an icy cliff.
I do love when they start, like, falling, we get this, like, long falling scene,
Yeah.
and Alice is like, well, don't worry about it now, you know, there's no use crying about it, you know, she has a very positive attitude of falling to her death, which was quite funny.
And I liked how they escaped that was the couch just landed first and then they fell on the couch.
Yeah, well, to be fair, they fall on the mountain, which is quite high up.
Yeah, true.
So it actually, the mountain almost saves their fall because they just so happened to land on the mountain, which they were heading for. The Gnome King's Mountain.
The Gnome King's Mountain, and the Gnome King's like, come in here, we're gonna play a little game.
The Gnome King shows up, and when he shows up, I'm like, oh, fucking shit, because they have some claymation of his, like, face and stuff.
Yeah, like in the rocks.
He is kind of terrifying. He's awesome.
I love the Gnome King, and again, the Gnome King, kind of like the Wicked Witch, kind of based.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, yo, I'm the Gnome King. I fucking hate the Emerald City because y'all came into my land. You fucking mined up my rocks. You took all the emerald from underneath our land.
Yeah.
And you built a massive fuck-off city with it. I just want my shit back.
Yeah, you can kind of relate to that. You're like, hey, he's the Gnome King, and all his shit got stolen by these Upworlders, so he came and took it back. That seems pretty fair to me.
No, actually, Zach, I think this movie's anti-colonialization, and therefore it's too woke for me.
Oh, no. Especially too woke for 1985 or whatever it was.
This is pretty woke for 1985. It's true. I love the Gnome King, and
Gnome King is pretty great.
he challenges them to a game, which is they got to go into a room of trinkets and guess which one the Scarecrow is.
Yes.
Because they got to get the Scarecrow back.
They've got to save the Scarecrow because the Scarecrow took over when they left.
He took over from Oz at the end of Wizard of Oz, yeah.
Yeah.
It took over from the Wizard, I should say.
Yes. and then he got captured by the Gnome King and has been turned into a trinket.
And they got to guess which one he is. It's very Last Crusade as well. I loved it.
Yeah. It was a little Last Crusade. I also liked, and this is established while they're doing this, that the Gnome King, the reason he's able to do all this, is that he has her ruby slippers.
He's got the ruby slippers.
Which makes sense, because they are ruby. Specifically ruby slippers, and he wants all the gems back. So of course
he has it for that reason.
Yeah. But also it's established that the ruby slippers fell out of the sky when Alice left. You know, the No Place Like Home. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because she put her things together, but she didn't fly up into the sky. She just kind of went back to home.
I look, he says they fell out of the sky. So I think it's really funny because he could have just been a regular, like, fucking gnome.
Yeah, and then he found them and got powers.
And he just found these slippers, and so he declared himself the Gnome King and then took over the land. I think that's a rather amusing backstory. But I like him as the Gnome King with his ruby slippers. And I like, during this game, so you have Dorothy and him, they're like sitting around a rock table. He gives them refreshments.
Oh, yes, he gives them limestone pie and hot melted silver.
Oh, God, that's gonna kill them.
The limestone pie looked pretty yummy, though. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
Well, that's the thing, because Alice starts eating Dorothy, I keep calling her Alice from Alice in Wonderland. No, Dorothy, because their stories are so fucking similar.
They are very similar.
Dorothy starts eating the limestone pie, and she's like, this is good, and then goes to drink, and then he's like, and molten silver, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna put this
I'm gonna
back.
pass on that one, actually.
I'm like, good call. Because do you know what the melting point of silver is, Sandro?
It's very high.
It's too fucking hot.
Yeah.
You drink that, you are burning alive.
Yeah. And yeah, they're sitting there while, who goes in first?
The Gnome King chooses the Gump to go in first, which is a bit mean.
Yeah, Gump goes in first.
He's literally born yesterday, right? So he's got to go in and guess which object in his palace of objects is the Scarecrow, which he's never met before.
He doesn't even know what the Scarecrow is.
He literally doesn't even know what a Scarecrow is. Like, it's poor Gump.
And he gets 3 guesses
Yeah.
before he is then turned into an object himself. But every time one of Dorothy's friends gets turned into a trinket, the Gnome King becomes more human.
Yeah.
Which is fucking sick!
Which was so awesome.
So cool!
It does great work at showing and not telling.
Yeah, they never say that he's getting more power. They just show him changing.
You see him, like, slowly turning more human, and then it's like, oh shit, he's becoming more human. But then, later on, when Dorothy starts guessing correctly, he starts slowly getting less human. And I was like, oh shit, that's what was happening. And it's like those heads earlier, like it's never explained that she stole those from the statues, but she clearly did. And I'm like, oh shit, this is great, this is awesome. We also hear like a Hunger Games, like cannons go off, they're lightning strikes.
I did not think of Hunger Games cannons at all, but that's very funny that you did.
Because we see the, like, main characters hanging out with the Gnome King waiting for their friend to return. And all you hear in the background is the lightning goes off, and he's like, 2 guesses remaining. And then another lightning strike. 1 guess remaining.
1 guess remaining. Oh, more power, yummy, yummy.
And then the final, and he's like, oh, shame. Next.
I do have a question, though, because when Jack Pumpkinhead is turned into a trinket, the chicken's inside of his head at that point, so she's also turned into a trinket, and he doesn't realize that the chicken is there, even though he gets the power or something. I'm not sure what the rules are there.
Yeah, it's the look, it's Fey magic, right? The king doesn't need to know that you've, signed up with the contract, right? It is a bit unfair on the chicken that the chicken gets turned into a trinket with Jack.
Yeah, I feel like the chicken should get its own guesses, but then also if the king knew that there was a chicken, he'd fucking kill it.
Yeah, but I think just the king didn't know, therefore the chicken just got accidentally turned into, right?
Yeah.
Because the king thinks the Jack is just the one guy.
But TikTok, he's sent in, he pretends that he has completely run down on all of his on all of his timers, so then Dorothy is sent in to wind him up.
Yeah. So the king's like, you know what? How about you go wind him up while he guesses? And you know what? You can guess in there as well. So his plan was, it's like, I'm not sure if I can figure this out.
Yeah.
But if I pretend that I'm frozen and get you in here to wind me up, then I can guess and you can see what I'm turned into, and that might give you a clue for the other ones.
And use that as a clue, which does help because he's turned into something that is green.
That's true, but I don't think she sees it.
She doesn't see it because it's just kind of like teleported randomly somewhere in this like room.
Yeah, which is a bit sad, but she gets lucky, I think?
Well, what happens is she sees a giant emerald.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, that's probably it.
Yeah, but Sandro, how did she get to that? She stood in the middle of the room, closed her eyes, and spinned around.
Closed her eyes, spun around.
And then just randomly walked up to a thing, and then found this green emerald.
Look, she's 9 years old, and also, like, I don't even know where I would fucking begin guessing in that room. Like, there's so much shit in that room.
Oh, yeah, there's literally no way she was going to figure this out. Which is, like, the Gnome King's plan is, like, there's no way for them to figure out. But she gets lucky, and she holds this emerald, Which makes sense for the Scarecrow to be turned into an emerald, right?
Yep.
For the Emerald City, you know?
She chooses the Scarecrow. He jumps out. He's like, oh my god, I'm here. I'm the Scarecrow. I'm a fucking mad lad. Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, Scarecrow, you're back. Oh my god.
And she comes to a conclusion. She's like, well, I touched this green emerald, and it turned into a Scarecrow. All the things that from the Emerald City must be green.
Must be great, which makes sense. It's fine. It's kind of dumb, but, you know.
It checks out.
Exactly. It's better than the never-ending story. But then
Wow.
a giant earthquake happens that shakes and the walls start to fall off, and we see that the Gnome King, he's angry and he's fucking big now.
Because she just turns back all her friends, and every time she guesses correctly, the Gnome King turns more gnomish and less
Turns
human.
more gnomish.
And he's like, you cheat, you're not allowed to win.
Oh my god, what are you fucking doing, you little brats?
I have no more time for games. I'm going to, as now a giant mountain gnome, I'm gonna fucking eat you. And it's like, oh shit.
I'm gonna eat you all. And then...
That was terrifying. He is scary in this form. It's like, oh shit.
That's right, and he picks up Jack Pumpkinhead. He's like, you look yummy, I'm gonna start with you. And as he dangles Jack Pumpkinhead above his open, horrifying mouth, I honestly can't describe how he looks in this scene. It's fucking scary.
It is pretty terrifying.
He's holding Jack Pumpkinhead over his mouth. He's like, I'm gonna eat you. But inside of Jack Pumpkinhead's head is the chicken. And guess what, Zach? The chicken got scared. So the chicken bloody laid an egg. And that egg, it falls out of one of Jack Pumpkinhead's eyes and falls into the mouth of the Gnome King. And the Gnome King starts to melt.
And he's like, don't you know? Eggs are poisonous to gnomes.
The line he says, and I cracked up. I was laughing so hard, was, don't you know? Eggs are poison.
Yeah.
And the way he delivered it was so funny.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. And it's, to be fair, this is just as contrived as when Dorothy, spilt water onto the witch.
Oh, yeah, it's just as dumb as that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, I've been hit with my one weakness, water.
It is very that, yeah.
At least they establish early on here that the Gnome King needed to know that there was a chicken, right?
I gotta say, though, the imagery of the Gnome King melting was horrifying. It was so good.
It was so good, because he's, slowly losing the gnomish shape, and he's getting more, skull-ish features. As his rocks are going more sharp and into a skull-like shape, I was like, oh shit, that is horrifying.
It's so cool, he melts. Well, yeah, just like the Wicked Witch, he melts.
Oh, and all the other little gnomes start to melt.
They also melt.
Poisonous.
And then they use the red ruby slippers, and everything goes back to bloody normal.
Yeah, these red ruby slippers, kind of OP.
They're pretty magical. And just like that, once again, Dorothy has fixed capitalism and reinstated imperialism.
Yeah,
because the Emerald City is back on top, baby.
But now there is a change, though, Sandro.
Oh, what's the change?
Because when the Scarecrow took over, that was more of a dictatorial situation where another dictator took over. It wasn't hereditary, but she's changed it now. Now it's more hereditary because we get Ozma in.
Ozma, who is the daughter of Oz.
The rightful monarch.
Yep. I don't know who Ozma is. She's just the daughter of the king that the world of Oz is named after. So she must be the daughter of the guy who founded this land? I don't know. But she was trapped in a mirror or some shit.
Yeah. They hinted her. She's at the start of the film, she's at the end of the film, but she doesn't really do anything.
No.
I don't know why they added this character.
She's from the books.
Yeah. She doesn't really do anything. I wondered if they really wanted to establish her as a character, along with, because they had these redesigns for these old characters. I was like, maybe they were looking to do something a bit more established.
Well, she kind of feels like the Good Witch Glenda kind of vibe when she shows up during the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're trying to copy that. But also, it's so weird because it's the wizard, he put her in the mirror because he wanted to take over from the Oz family and rule the lands. And you're like, but did he? Because he wasn't really magical. He was just kind of like just a man in a box who had some machines that did the work for him. Like, what? What's going on here? I feel like I need to read the books to really know what the fuck is going on with the Oz lore, because they don't explain it in this. But I also don't think that they should have explained it in this, because it's dumb and kind of boring.
Yeah, because they're like...
And I like all the weird shit.
Alice, you should rule the kingdom. You should stay in Oz forever. And she's like, nah, guys, I have to get back to reality.
Yeah.
Why? She just does. She's got to go back.
She just wants to go back home. But the chicken stays.
Yeah, the chicken's like... I'm gonna get fucking eaten if I go back. Nah, I'm staying here, fam. I'm the gnome killer here, which is like, fair enough, you know.
And then they go back home. She goes back home. We find out that the hospital was destroyed by lightning, and the doctor, he died in a fire trying to save all his equipment.
Whoa! Super dark!
Like, what the fuck? And then the nurse has been locked up. Don't know why, but she's in like a police carriage.
Yeah, she was kind of mean to Dorothy.
I guess.
She did try and save her from the river, but, you know...
She was doing everything for, like, mean purposes, but I'm also like, why would she be arrested? Like, I don't know what...
I think obviously in Oz, she was Mombi and she was evil, right? So that makes sense that she gets caged. I think in real life, she's getting arrested for child neglect, right? This child managed to escape from their facilities and nearly drown. I'm like, she's getting child neglect being thrown at her, you know?
And then we see the very end of the movie, Dorothy is in her bedroom, and in her mirror, we see Ozma, and they talk. So, Dorothy still has access to Oz, even though she's back in the real world, and now that she's gone back and processed it or something, she's not going to scare her parents by talking about weird magical shit and getting thrown into...
She's just going to talk to her imaginary friend in the mirror for the next 12 years.
Exactly.
And then being sent back to the psychiatric ward when they find out.
I really want a movie where Dorothy's an adult, because I just want to see what the fuck would happen. Like, we don't get that with Narnia, because in Narnia, once you reach a certain age, you can't return to Narnia.
Yeah.
So there's that rule already established in Narnia.
Which is a really weird fucking rule. Can we bring that up? Because they grow old in Narnia and then come out as adults that are actually just children. Like, that would fuck you up, by the way.
For real.
They have the years and experience of, like, ancient kings, right? And they're just young gentlemen. They probably know a lot now. They're probably very learned for kids, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, they can't go back to Narnia because when you get that old, you can't believe in it anymore. And I'm like, but they fucking... one of them was a king. Like,
Yeah. They have literally, like, a lifetime spent in Narnia, right? They still have those memories as adults.
Man, I want to rewatch those movies now, actually.
Yeah, when they grow up, they will still have the memories of them growing up in this world, right? Why would they not believe in it?
Anyway, I would like a Dorothy is an adult and goes back to Oz. I think that would be very good.
Absolutely. And Sandra, I have an idea for that. But we'll get for that in the sequels, but I have an idea for her as an adult.
That's right, the sequel remake segment, and we'll get to that in a second, because, Zach, that's the end of the movie, actually, so...
Yeah!
We usually end each segment with a joke, though, so I feel like we should kind of put in a joke here, and then we'll get to the remake part.
Okay. She goes back out. Oh, Toto's there.
Oh, yeah, Toto's there. We could do a joke there.
She's like, Toto. I'm like, yeah, where the fuck was he the whole fucking film?
For real, where was Toto? Toto should be in this movie.
No, I disagree. Toto is in this movie too much, Sandro.
I do like, though, how the chicken is like, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
Oh, my God. Shut the fuck up, chicken.
They give the line to the chicken. I was like, fuck yeah.
I wanted to punt that chicken when it said that.
Welcome to Books Boys. Every month, the Dean and PJ tell you all about the books they've been reading and make some recommendations from our old favorites, plus surprise call-ins from authors to talk about the works that they're writing. Original music, prize giveaways, and more. That's Books Boys on booksboys.com and all good podcatchers. Books Boys, get it! Quiet! Books.
Alright, it's time to make a remake, sequel, whatever the fuck. That's what we're doing. I want to make a remake of Return to Oz that is a dark Wizard of Oz sort of vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it already is pretty dark.
Yeah.
But do you want to just remake this film specifically? Be like, this is the actual sequel to Alice in Wonderland rather than what we watch?
Or do a sequel to this itself. It's like
Yes.
the third Oz movie, yeah, where she's all grown up and stuff. That could be good. But no, Zach, this is not that segment. This is the remake segment where we get characters, we recast them, and we make some funny jokes. Zach, my remake of Return to Oz is directed by Tim Burton, and Dorothy is played by Jenna Ortega. Oh, fuck, come here, I said that out loud.
Oh. Owie. I felt that from here. That was painful.
I don't want that, actually. That was a joke. That was a joke.
For legal reasons, that was a joke.
Alright, so a remake of this movie. Have you seen any movies recently that give you this vibe?
Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton fucking film that's more recent than this film.
I do this every time, but what has Tim Burton done recently that's good? Like, what was his last good thing? I think it's gotta be
Oh my god.
ages ago, right?
Wow, that's savage, Sandro. How could you say such things? Tim Burton has never done anything wrong.
I mean, he directed a bunch of Wednesday, which I haven't seen. Beetlejuice 2 looks fine, but not great. I honestly don't think he's done anything good since, like, Sleepy Hollow in the 90s. Like, I don't know.
A Planet of the Apes.
Oh, that was terrible.
Alice in Wonderland 2010.
I mean, he did do Corpse Bride. That was pretty good.
Corpse Bride was alright. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
It's fucking terrible. I mean, Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd's a classic.
Oh, Sandra, what about Dumbo, 2019's Dumbo?
I fucking hate his Dumbo remake. It was so bad.
Yeah, because it's just another fucking remake. I didn't see that one, to be fair, because I was so done with the remakes. They are just atrocious.
But do we get Tim Burton in to remake this?
I could, yeah. I genuinely think Tim Burton could do this one justice, because it is just Alice through the looking glass, or whatever that is, you know?
He could do it, but like... Nah, you're right. All right, we'll put him in. We'll put him in.
Unless you could put another director in. He was just my first thought sort of thing, you know. It's just like the direct parallels between them were very obvious to me.
Yeah. I'm like, we could definitely get like someone who directed the Dark Crystal TV show to come in, but no, I think Tim Burton's a pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could still do that as well. Like, you could get multiple things involved. I think you do something like that.
I mean, this is a comedy podcast, though, so having Tim Burton is pretty funny.
Yeah, Tim Burton, he's a funny guy. You know what that means? If we get Tim Burton in, there's two actors / actresses that you need to get into the film, right, Sandro?
Jenna Ortega and Johnny Depp. Well, I don't want to put Johnny Depp in something.
What? What's wrong with Johnny Depp?
Who would he play in this? If we were to put Johnny Depp in it, the Scarecrow.
You could have him as the Scarecrow. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny.
Johnny Depp as
you
the
could have
Scarecrow.
him as
Fuck it
you
up.
could have him as the Gnome King.
No, I don't think he's scared. He's not a bad. He could be a bad guy. But Johnny Depp may be a bad guy, but he doesn't play bad characters, so I don't think that would necessarily work.
Oh, have him as a wheeler, dude. Have him as the main wheeler.
For Dorothy, I want to take our idea of having an older Dorothy and just make that this movie. Just make that our remake. She can be older in this one.
Yeah. I think in this one, what should have happened for the first movie, the actress should have been the child, and in this movie, it was the older lady. But yeah, I think in this one, she's like hit 18, right? And her parents are like, yeah, unfortunately, you're still fucking crazy, and you're 18 now, so we're just gonna kick you out and put you in an insane asylum, right?
God damn it, you said 18, which means it has to be Jenna Ortega. Fine. It was a joke, but I guess we're doing it. Or we could have Michael Keaton as the Gnome King.
Yeah?
I think he'd be good, actually.
Oh, Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
I think Michael Keaton's just a really good choice. I think he needs to be in more stuff, you know?
Yeah, he was in Tim Burton's Dumbo, and he was like one of the only good parts of that.
Yep.
Honestly.
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know.
All right, we can put in Michael Keaton as the Gnome King. I think he's a good bad guy as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Other characters we got TikTok, we got the chicken,
Oh, fuck.
Mombi, Jack Pumpkinhead.
So we got Jenna Ortega as our main lead,
As Dorothy.
obviously.
Yeah.
You couldn't escape that one, Sandra, if you fucking tried.
That has to happen, I guess.
You couldn't escape it even you tried. It's gonna happen. But who's the other lady with Johnny Depp that's always in the movies?
Well, she was married to Tim Burton. She isn't anymore, so she's not really in a lot of...
Yeah.
Helena Bonham Carter is who you're thinking of.
Yeah, was the one I was thinking of. I think she could do Mumby or the chicken.
That's the thing is, like, she's perfect for Mumby.
Yeah.
She is perfect for Mumby.
So you could put her as Mumby.
Helena Bonham... We're just getting all of his regular people and being like, they actually work really well in these roles.
Yeah, because it's very similar themes. Because you probably... Oh, do you know who I want for TikTok?
Who do you want for TikTok?
Michael Sheen.
Oh, that's good!
Yeah.
That's so good! We can definitely get him in.
He can do a bit of a bubbly, bit of a friendly,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
also
yeah.
kind of like... not oblivious, but kind of like... Because he's a wind-up guy, so he doesn't... But he's not concerned about it, you know? And he has his strong suits, and he has his not strong suits, but he's okay with that, you know? He's just a chill guy. I think Michael Sheen for TikTok would be really great.
That's TikTok done, that's Mumby done. We got Jack, we got the chicken. For Jack, I was thinking of the actor Clark Duke, who was in The Office. He's in Kick-Ass, but I know him as the voice of a character in an animated show called Inside Job. And so I was kind of like thinking of like voice actors, and I was like, he's pretty perfect for Jack Pumpkinhead because he's got that sort of voice.
Yeah, he's done a lot of comedy stuff, so I feel like he's good for Jack, because Jack really doesn't do much during the film. He's just kind of there.
He just kind of says stuff. He's like, hey, I'm a funny man.
Yeah, he just kind of says stuff, and it's just a kind of a character. Yeah. So I think Clark Duke, you don't want someone too serious or whatever in. You want just a silly guy.
Yeah.
Who's just kind of goofing around, helping out.
I've got a clip for you there of the character from Inside Job. It's pretty much exactly Jack Pumpkinhead.
I like to slam the jam. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. So, him in as Jack Pumpkinhead, and then the chicken. Who's that bloody chicken?
Yeah, that is the question.
There's one actor who comes to mind, and I don't remember her name.
I had a thought. This was my first thought. But you're free to veto this. But I was just thinking, because I was thinking like it's a sassy kind of hen.
Yeah,
you know? It's
it is a sassy hen.
I thought of like an old actress, you know, who could be a bit sassy.
Okay.
Because they have like a mother hen sort of vibe as well, right? You know. So I was thinking Maggie Smith.
Maggie Smith is always a good get.
Yeah. She's pretty much great in literally everything she's ever been in.
That's true. And she has worked with Tim Burton before a couple times, I believe.
Yeah, she is quite old now, but I feel like a voice role wouldn't be too hard on her.
I was thinking of Dawn French.
Oh!
She's in like a TV show called The Vicar of Dibley, which I never really watched.
Oh, I think I've seen that show.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a couple of episodes of that show way back when. Yeah.
She's just like a comedian who who just came to mind when we were like talking about the character. I was like, you know what? I think she'd do a good job. And Maggie Smith is also very good as well. But I do love the idea of getting in Maggie Smith, an actor who's won so many awards, is so well done, and then we just get her to play a chicken. It's very funny.
Yeah, that's funny, but I feel like Dawn French. I'm down with it.
All right, we'll do that.
Absolutely.
Well, there we go. That's our entire remake right there. Tim Burton's Return to Oz.
What a return it was.
What a return. And that's the whole episode. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, everybody. This was great. I enjoyed your company. Thank you for listening.
I think Sandra's gone insane listening and watching this movie. He's got a little kooky himself. Sandra, I think I'm just going to have to leave you here in this cell. I'm just going to close this door. Clonk.
Don't do that. We're going to finish the episode.
That's all right. You can finish the episode, but you're just going to stay in the cell here, all right?
Stayed in the cell?
Yeah. So, because Don't forget, we got to mention the Patreon.
Well, we do. We've got to say, first thing before the Patreon, we're on Facebook and Instagram at oldiebuddygoodypod. You can email us, oldiebuddygoodypod@gmail.com. And Zach, if you like the show, and I am talking directly to you, Zach, you got to review us on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or on any other...
I better go review right now.
Or on any other podcast app that allows you to review. You got to go and review the show, Zach.
I don't know if I have an Apple account still, if it would still work.
I closed mine as well, Zach.
Yeah.
You gotta go review it, Zach.
If you still own an Apple product, please review us on Apple Podcasts.
And if you want some bonus content, patreon.com/oldiebuddygoodypod. Brand new episode up there right now on Friday the 13th, 9. Jason goes to hell.
Does he? Does he go to hell?
He definitely does. But Zach, starting next week, on the first Wednesday of June, it's time for the Cagerama number 3.
Cagerama, and I'm super excited for this one.
I'm so keen for this Cage drama. If you haven't heard that before, over on Patreon, every year we do 3 months of Nicolas Cage, 2 episodes a month, and we got some bangers lined up this year. I can't wait.
I would even say, Sandro, that we are going to be crushed almost by all these movies.
Ooh, why would you say that?
Because of the unbearable weight of massive talent that is Nicolas Cage.
Oh, that is indeed the first one we're doing.
Because of his unbearable talent, we're going to be crushed beneath it. It's going to be a good time.
It's a pretty great movie to kick off K-Drama Season 3 in there. That's out the start of June. Very much looking forward to that. You can subscribe to Patreon to get them. Catch up on the K-Drama. Catch up on the 12 episodes already out of the K-Drama. If you haven't heard them yet, you got to catch up because you got to hear this one as it comes out because it's going to be fucking hot off the presses. It's going to be breaking news, caginess every couple weeks over on Patreon. You got to do it. But Zach, speaking of hot off the presses, you got to pick a movie for next week that's hot off the presses from 1986 because it's a hot year.
Oh, is it hot? There's a lot of hot picks here. Aliens.
Oh.
Yeah, that's this year. Highlander.
Ooh.
Top Gun. Wow, low blow.
I like Top Gun too, but original Top Gun's fucking shit. I hate it. It's a bad movie. But Zach, Labyrinth.
Oh, Labyrinth. We spoke a lot about Labyrinth this week. I do love Labyrinth. I need to see Labyrinth again as well. There's Asterix in Berlin.
Oh, very nice.
Well, Asterix Obelix, yeah.
Is that a Studio Ghibli movie? Castle in the Sky?
Yep.
Wow. Wow. Look at that.
I like the look of Raw Deal.
Oh, yes. What's this?
With our favorite actor. Wow.
Oh, speaking of Arnie, we've got Cobra with Sylvester Stallone. One of his big ones.
Yeah, Cobra. Yeah, that's pretty good. But what about... But Sandra, what about Alan Quatermain and the Lost City of Gold?
Well, that actually came out in 1987, but we could do Alan Quatermain and King Solomon's Mines, which you've already seen, actually.
Well, that's weird, because Google says it came out in 1986. You didn't fub the years, did you? So we watched that racist movie, did you?
No, it was a January movie, and the release date was, scattered because it came out in,
Yeah. What are you saying, Sandro? That release dates are kind of bullshit and they fuck things up all the time?
They are kind of bullshit. But we'll probably go back to that format next year, so it's great. I love it.
Yes, I can't wait for it.
Ooh, how about a movie called April Fool's Day?
Ooh.
Which looks like a horror film, but the poster's really interesting because it's a woman and she's holding a knife behind her back, but her hair, it's kind of braided so that it looks like a noose.
Holy shit, there's so many good films. This is the time where they were just, making movies, you know?
For sure. This looks like a really good year. Honestly, we might have to do this. Oh, Three Amigos, classic comedy.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, huge.
This is what the year that came out. Karate Kid Part 2.
Oh, yeah. That's the second best Karate Kid movie.
But I've got a good pick, Sandra.
What about Stand By Me, classic Stephen King coming of age?
Stand By Me.
I love Stand By Me. It's so good. There's a bunch of kids, they go off to find a dead body. Speaking of dead body, Blue Velvet. David Lynch's fucking masterpiece, Blue Velvet. I love that movie.
There's so many movies.
But anyway, yes. No, we should act. Oh, The Mosquito Coast with Harrison Ford, I've always wanted to watch that. Never have. Always wanted to watch that one.
Nothing in common.
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
Short Circuit. That's a movie I grew up watching. I love that movie.
Tom Hanks is in Nothing in Common. I just wanted to mention it because I saw Tom Hanks. Yeah, I don't actually have anything in common with that.
Anyway, Zach, what are you picking? Is it Care Bears Movie 2, A New Generation?
Nah, but I wanted to do something that you might like, you know? That you might be interested in. Now, Sandro, what are some of the genres that you're into, you know?
Genres that I like. I like comedy.
Comedy's really good. We do a lot of comedy here sometimes. Not this episode. Very straight-laced.
I quite like comedy. Speaking of The Wizard of Oz, I quite like musicals.
Musicals? Ooh, that's very specific. Yeah. Any other genres you could think of?
Sci-fi. I love a bit of sci-fi.
Yeah, sci-fi is really good. Well, Sandro, there's one last one you haven't mentioned, which is horror, of course.
Oh, I do indeed love some horror.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of horror. So I've got one that matches all of those very specific descriptors that you mentioned just before. I know.
What a weird coinkydink.
What a coincidence. It's not like we planned this beforehand. It's The Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh my god, I love that movie. One of my favorites.
I've never seen it.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think I've seen bits of it, but I've never seen it.
Well, that means that, Zach, if you're picking that, it's a great movie to be introduced to because it's a damn good movie.
Yeah. I've always wanted to see it, so this is a good excuse to see it. Although Labyrinth is very tempting, but I have seen Labyrinth before.
And yeah, like 1986, this is a banger year. We honestly might have to come back and do this year at some point. It's massive.
Yeah, there's a lot of good films.
It's really good.
Maybe I won't rewatch Labyrinth then. I was kind of thinking about it.
Next week, Little Shop of Horrors sounds good. Now, Zach, next week we are, of course, jumping to 1986. And usually I would just teleport you there right away. We would do the episode without a gap, but you are stuck on a TV right now. But I do have a serum.
Yeah, well, you're stuck in that cell, motherfucker. So guess who's winning now?
Oh, true. But I've got this antidote right here for you.
Oh. Antidote?
It's an antidote for being stuck on the TV. I could just give it to you. You'll go back to the 80s.
Yeah, but to give me that, I would have to let you out of the cell.
That's true. But Zach, here's the thing though. I don't think I'd want to give you the antidote. I don't think I even want to teleport you to the next year, because here's the thing.
What?
We're doing... Our series right now is 1970 to 2000.
Yeah.
And we're in the middle right now of 1985 and 1986, which means we're halfway through the season.
Well, that's true.
So, Zach, I'm going to give you a rest.
What? Really?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a break between these two episodes. You get a little break.
Oh, well, now I feel bad for locking you in the cell now that you give it... You know what? I'll let you out of your cell, Sandro. That was probably a bit too preemptive of me. Here you go. I'm so sorry. There you go.
Oh, excellent. I can stretch my legs and get out of the cell. Well, while I'm out here, would you like the antidote for the being in the TV?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. What does the TV antidote even do?
It makes you not be in the TV anymore. I've just got it right here in this needle. Which arm would you like it in?
Probably the left one, right? I use that a bit less.
All right, I'll just...
Oh, ow. That is a big needle. Jeez. Are you trained with that?
Yes.
Yes.
a big needle, yes. There you go. There you go. All right, I'll just throw that out.
It stinks. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel so good.
Oh
dear.
Oh, fuck, I forgot. A side effect of the antidote is that you're going to be teleported to the next year, not in the TV, in the real life, but you are going to be teleported, and you are going to have to do the podcast immediately.
Oh, I feel it. I'm getting pulled in. You bastard, Sandro!
I guess we're going to 86 and doing the next episode straight away.
You suck!